far beyond the familiar stars of Earth's night sky, scattered across the vast emptiness of space, lay the forgotten worlds of humanity. Centuries ago, during the Great Expansion, thousands of colony ships had ventured into the unknown, carrying brave pioneers to distant planets. But then came the silence, a mysterious catastrophe that severed all communication between these human settlements. For 500 years, each world developed in isolation, evolving distinct cultures, technologies, and beliefs, each one thinking they might be the last remnant of humanity in the universe. Captain Alara Chen stood on the bridge of the starship Prometheus, gazing at the unfamiliar planet through the view screen. After decades of searching, her crew had finally discovered another human settlement. The blue-green world below had once been called New Eden, according to ancient records. Now, it was known to its inhabitants simply as home. Ilara's heart raced as she contemplated the mission ahead to reunite the scattered children of Earth under one banner and rebuild the lost federation of human worlds. But first she would need to convince people who had forgotten their celestial origins that they were not alone in the universe. Ilara adjusted her uniform as the landing shuttle descended through the atmosphere of New Eden. The small crew she had selected for this first contact mission sat in tense silence. Dr. Maya Patel, their xenoanthropologist, reviewed her notes one last time. Lieutenant Darius Jackson checked his non-lethal defensive equipment just in case. And communications. Officer Tao Wei kept his eyes closed, mentally rehearsing greeting phrases in various old Earth languages. Remember, Ilara said, breaking the silence, we don't know what we're walking into. These people may have forgotten their history completely. They might not even speak a language we recognize. Or they might shoot us on sight, added Darius with a grim smile. Maya shook her head. Based on our scans, they have roughly 19th century Earth technology. Simple firearms at worst. Nothing our shields can't handle. As the shuttle broke through the cloud cover, they got their first clear view of New Eden. Rolling green hills stretched toward distant mountains. A river snaked through a valley, leading to what appeared to be a settlement, a town of stone and wood buildings with smoke rising from chimneys. It's beautiful, whispered Tao, like Earth from the history books. The shuttle landed in a clearing about a kilometer from the town. Ilara wanted to avoid causing panic by landing directly in the settlement. As the engines powered down, she took a deep breath. Let's make history, she said, standing up. Again. The air of New Eden was sweet and fresh, filled with the scent of unfamiliar flowers. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's standard, giving each step a subtle bounce. They walked toward the town, following a dirt path that showed signs of regular use. They hadn't gone far when they heard a shout. A figure appeared on the path ahead. A young woman with sun-browned skin and long dark hair, wearing a simple dress of homespun cloth. She carried a basket of what looked like wild berries. When she saw the strangers in their strange clothing, she froze, her eyes wide with fear and wonder. Hello, Ilara said, stepping forward with her hands raised to show she carried no weapons. We come in peace. The woman dropped her basket, berries scattering across the path. Then she turned and ran toward the town, shouting words they couldn't understand. Well, said Darius, I guess our arrival won't be a surprise anymore. Within minutes, a group of people had gathered at the edge of town. Some carried tools that could double as weapons, axes, scythes, hammers. An older man with a white beard stepped forward, leaning on a wooden staff. He wore a simple robe with elaborate embroidery around the collar, some kind of authority figure, Ilara guessed. Who are you? The man called out in accented but recognizable English. Are you from the far shore? Ilara stepped forward. My name is Captain Ilara-chun. We come from a distant world, seeking to reconnect with lost human settlements. We mean you no harm. Murmurs spread through the crowd. The old man's eyes narrowed. Humans from another world. Impossible. The stars are just lights in the sky, placed there by the Creator. Maya whispered to Ilara, they've lost their history. They don't remember the settlement. Ships. Ilara nodded and addressed the crowd again. We have much to explain. We bring news of other human worlds beyond your own. We can show you proof of what we say. The old man raised his hand to quiet the growing commotion among his people. I am Elder Thomas, leader of Providence Town. If you truly come in peace, then you will submit to our hospitality and answer our questions. That sounds fair, Ilara replied. We would be honored to be your guests. The crowd parted as Elder Thomas led them into the town. Simple but well-built houses lined the streets. People stared from windows and doorways. Children ran alongside them, curious and excited, until called back by worried parents. They were led to a large building in the town center, a meeting hall of some kind with a high ceiling supported by wooden beams. A fire blazed in a stone hearth despite the warm day. Around a large table sat other elders, men and women with grave expressions. Sit, Elder Thomas instructed, pointing to empty chairs. Now tell us your story. And be warned, we may be a simple people, but we know truth from lies. Ilara took a deep breath. How do you explain 500 years of lost history to people who had forgotten the stars? She decided to start at the beginning. Long ago, there was a world called Earth. By nightfall, the elders of Providence Town had heard the full story, or at least as much as Ilara thought they could understand in one sitting. She told them of Earth, the mother world, of the great expansion when humans built ships to travel between stars, of how their ancestors had come to this world, which they once called New Eden, to build a new home for humanity. And finally, she told them of the silence, the mysterious catastrophe that had cut all communication between the human worlds. How for 500 years, each settlement had developed alone, many forgetting their origins among the stars. Throughout her explanation, Elder Thomas and the other town leaders had listened with expressions ranging from disbelief to anger to wonder. When she finished, silence filled the hall. You claim our ancestors came from the sky, said a woman with silver hair. That we are not the special creation of the Divine One. I don't speak to your religious beliefs, Ilara replied carefully. But yes, historically your ancestors arrived here in ships that crossed the void between stars. And you have proof of this? Elder Thomas asked, his voice heavy with skepticism. Ilara nodded. We do. We can show you the stars up close through our instruments. We can take you to our ship and show you the technology your ancestors once possessed. We can even show you old records that mention New Eden and the settlement mission. An argument broke out among the elders. Some dismissed the visitors as liars or demons. Others were curious, willing to at least consider their claims. Elder Thomas finally raised his hand for silence. It is late. We will provide you with lodging for the night. Tomorrow we will examine your proof. He turned to a young man standing by the door. Samuel, show our guests to the visitor's cottage. As they followed Samuel through the darkening streets, Darius whispered to Ilara, that went better than expected. At least they didn't try to burn us as witches. Don't jinx it, Ilara replied. We still have a long way to go. The visitor's cottage turned out to be a small but comfortable dwelling at the edge of town, likely used for traveling merchants or other rare visitors. It had 2 rooms with simple beds, a fireplace, and basic furnishings. The town watch will be outside all night, Samuel informed them with a meaningful look. For your protection, of course. Of course, Ilara replied, understanding the unspoken message. They were as much prisoners as guests. After Samuel left, the landing party gathered around the wooden table in the main room. They're afraid, Maya said. We've just challenged their entire understanding of their world and their place in it. Can you blame them? Tao asked. Imagine living your whole life believing one thing, then strangers arrive claiming it's all wrong. We need to tread carefully, Ilara agreed. We're not here to destroy their culture or beliefs. We're here to help them remember who they are and rejoin the human family. If they want to, Darius added, we can't force them. No, Ilara confirmed, but I believe once they see the truth, they'll want to know more. The next morning, they were awakened by a knock at the door. Samuel stood outside with several other young men and women. Elder Thomas requests your presence, he said, his voice neutral, but his eyes bright with curiosity. He has agreed to see your proof. They were led back to the meeting hall, where Elder Thomas waited with a smaller group of elders, those most open to hearing them out, Ilara guessed. We have discussed your claims through the night, Elder Thomas said. Many of our people are disturbed by your words, but some of us are willing to see this proof you offer. Thank you, Ilara replied. We can start with something simple. She turned to Tao. The telescope. Tao opened his pack and removed what looked like a small cylinder. With a few adjustments, it expanded into a portable telescope, nothing impressive by Prometheus standards, but far beyond anything these people had. This allows you to see the stars more clearly, Ilara explained. What you call lights in the sky are actually distant suns, like your own sun, many with planets around them. Elder Thomas approached cautiously and looked through the eyepiece. Ilara had aimed it at one of the gas giants in this system, a spectacular ringed world visible even in daylight with the right equipment. The elder's hands trembled as he stepped back. What devilry is this? Not devilry, Ilara said gently. Just a tool that extends your vision. Each of you can look for yourselves. One by one, the elders took turns at the telescope. Some recoiled in fear, others gazed in wonder, asking questions about what they were seeing. This proves nothing, said a skeptical elder. It could be a trick, an illusion. Then let us show you more, Ilara suggested. We can take a small group to our landing shuttle. From there, we can fly above your world so you can see it with your own eyes. This suggestion caused another heated debate. Finally, Elder Thomas made a decision. I will go, he announced. And Samuel, who has a keen mind for mechanical things. If what you show us is true, we will bring word back to the others. The walk back to the shuttle was tense. Elder Thomas and Samuel followed in silence there, faces a mixture of fear and excitement. When they reached the clearing and saw the shuttle, Samuel gasped. It's beautiful, he whispered, approaching the sleek craft with reverent steps. Elder Thomas was more reserved, but his eyes betrayed his wonder. This is how our ancestors traveled between stars. No, Ilara explained. This is just a small craft for traveling between our main ship and the surface of a planet. The ships that traveled between stars were much larger. Inside the shuttle, Elder Thomas and Samuel marveled at the technology. Darius gave them a simple explanation of how the craft worked, careful not to overwhelm them with too much technical detail. Are you ready to see your world from above? Ilara asked. Elder Thomas nodded solemnly. I am prepared. The shuttle lifted off smoothly, rising above the treetops. Samuel pressed his face to a viewport, his eyes wide with wonder. Even Elder Thomas couldn't hide his amazement as the ground fell away beneath them. As they climbed higher, the curve of the planet became visible. Oceans, continents, and clouds spread out below them in a breathtaking panorama. Our world, it's round, Samuel whispered, and so beautiful. Elder Thomas said nothing, but tears glistened in his eyes. And now, Ilara said, we would like to show you our ship and introduce you to people from another forgotten world who have already joined our mission. The starship Prometheus hung in orbit above New Eden, its sleek design a testament to the technological achievements of humanity. As the shuttle approached, Elder Thomas and Samuel stared in awe at the massive vessel. This is your ship? Samuel asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Yes, Ilara replied. Home to over 200 crew members from different human worlds. The shuttle docked smoothly with the Prometheus. As the doors opened, Ilara could see the welcoming committee she had arranged, a diverse group of crew members including representatives from Arcturus, the first forgotten world they had rediscovered. Elder Thomas Samuel, Ilara said, I'd like you to meet Commander Jarko Voss from Arcturus Prime. A tall, broad-shouldered man with pale skin and striking blue eyes stepped forward. He wore a variation of the Prometheus uniform, modified with symbols of his homeworld. Welcome, brothers of New Eden, Jarko said, extending his hand in greeting. I remember what it was like to learn that my people were not alone in the universe. It is overwhelming. Elder Thomas hesitated, then clasped Jarko's hand. Your people also forgot their origins. Yes, Jarko nodded. For centuries, we believed we were the only humans left after a great catastrophe. We called it the Darkening, when Captain Chen's ship appeared in our skies. 3 years ago, many were afraid. Some still resist the idea that we are part of a larger human family. And yet you are here, Elder Thomas observed. I am, Jarko agreed, because I chose to remember rather than remain in ignorance. But it was not an easy choice. Over the next few hours, Elder Thomas and Samuel were given a tour of the Prometheus. They saw the bridge, the hydroponics gardens where food was grown, the medical bay with its advanced healing technology, and the vast library containing the collected knowledge of multiple human worlds. In the ship's observatory, they were shown the stars as they truly were, countless suns, many with planets of their own. On a large display, they saw a map of known human settlements, some rediscovered, many still lost. There, Ilara pointed to a small blue dot. That's New Eden. And here, she indicated a larger red star, is where we believe Earth is located, though we haven't confirmed it yet. The Mother World, Samuel whispered, from the old stories. Elder Thomas turned to Ilara with surprise. You haven't found Earth? Not yet, Ilara admitted. Whatever caused the silence affected Earth as well. We have found references to it in records from other worlds, but no direct contact. Finding Earth is one of our ultimate goals. By the time they returned to the shuttle for the journey back to the surface, Elder Thomas seemed changed. The rigid skepticism had given way to a thoughtful consideration. I have seen wonders today, he said as they descended toward New Eden. Things I cannot explain with my old understanding, but I fear how this knowledge will affect my people. Change is always difficult, Ilara acknowledged. But remember, we don't want to destroy what makes New Eden special. Your culture, your beliefs, they're part of humanity's rich tapestry. We want to add to your understanding, not take away what you already have. When they landed, they found a crowd waiting. Word had spread through Providence Town about the visitors from the stars. People had come from neighboring settlements to see for themselves. In the meeting hall, Elder Thomas addressed the gathered crowd. He spoke of what he had seen: the shuttle, the ship, the stars, and the people from another world who had once been just like them. I believe these visitors speak the truth, he concluded. Our ancestors did come from the stars. We are part of a larger family of humans, scattered across the heavens. His words caused an uproar. Some embraced the news with excitement, while others rejected it outright. A man in religious robes stood up, his face red with anger. This is heresy, he shouted. Our sacred texts say we were created here on this world by the Divine One. These strangers bring lies to corrupt our faith. Not lies, Elder Thomas replied calmly. Just a larger truth. Perhaps the Divine One works in ways we didn't understand before. The debate raged for hours. As night fell, the community remained divided. Many were eager to learn more about their cosmic heritage, while others retreated into fear and denial. As Ilara and her team prepared to return to their cottage for the night, Samuel approached them. I want to go with you, he said, his eyes bright with determination. When you leave New Eden, I want to see the stars, the other worlds. I want to help you find more lost settlements. Ilara smiled. We would welcome your help, Samuel. But don't decide too quickly. This is your home. I know, he replied. But now I know it's not the only home for humanity. I need to see more. That night, as Ilara composed her report for the Prometheus, she reflected on the day's events. New Eden's reaction was similar to what they had experienced on other worlds, a mixture of wonder, fear, and resistance. But always there were those like Samuel who embraced the new reality with enthusiasm. The sound of shouting outside interrupted her thoughts. Darius burst into the cottage, his face grim. We have trouble, he said. A group of religious hardliners are gathering in the square. They're calling for us to be driven out, or worse. Ilara quickly contacted the Prometheus. We might need emergency extraction. Understood, came the reply. Shuttle on standby. But before they could decide on a course of action, there was a pounding at the door. Darius opened it cautiously to find Elder Thomas and several town guards. You must come quickly, Elder Thomas said urgently. The situation is getting out of control. They followed him through back alleys to avoid the growing crowd in the main square. The night air was filled with angry voices and the flicker of torches. I didn't expect such a violent reaction, Elder Thomas admitted as they hurried through the darkness. The Church of the Divine Creation has always been strict in its beliefs, but never aggressive like this. It's not uncommon, Maya said. Throughout human history, new ideas have often been met with resistance, especially when they challenge fundamental beliefs. They reached a large stone building, the town's library and record hall. Inside, several elders and younger scholars had gathered looking worried. What's happening? Ilara asked. Brother Matthias is whipping the crowd into a frenzy, one of the scholars explained. He claims your demons come to lead us astray. Some are calling for your arrest, others for more permanent solutions. Elder Thomas looked grim. We need to evacuate you back to your ship. But first there's something you should see. He led them to a back room where ancient books and scrolls were kept. From a locked cabinet, he removed a metal box, tarnished with age. This has been passed down from elder to elder since the founding of our settlement, he explained. We've preserved it, though few know of its existence. The inscription says it should only be opened in a time of great change. The box was sealed with a complex mechanism. Elder Thomas hesitated, then handed it to Ilara. I believe you may know how to open it. Ilara examined the box. The mechanism was sophisticated, not something the current technology of New Eden could have produced. It appeared to be a standard old Earth security lock, requiring a specific sequence of movements. With careful precision, she manipulated the various components. There was a soft click, and the lid loosened. Inside was a data crystal, ancient technology, but compatible with their equipment. Tao removed a small reader from his pack and inserted the crystal. A holographic image appeared above the reader, a woman in an old-style uniform, her face solemn. This is Captain Leah Abrams of the colony ship Horizon, recording this message in the event of catastrophic communication failure. If you are viewing this, it means the worst has happened. Our connection to Earth and the other colonies has been severed. The message continued, explaining how the original settlers had come to New Eden as part of humanity's great expansion. It detailed the early days of the colony and the sudden, unexplained loss of all communication with other human worlds. We don't know what caused the silence, Captain Abrams said. Our best theories involve some kind of subspace disruption that has damaged the communication network. We hope it's temporary, but we must prepare for the possibility that we are now alone. The message ended with a plea. If contact is ever restored, if other humans ever find us, remember that we are part of something greater. New Eden is not the beginning of humanity's story, but a new chapter in a much longer tale. Never forget where we came from, and never stop looking to the stars. As the hologram faded, silence filled the room. Elder Thomas looked shaken. All this time, he whispered, the truth was here waiting. Your ancestors didn't want you to forget, Ilara said gently. They left this for you to find when you were ready. A commotion outside broke the moment. Shouts and the glow of torches moved closer to the library. They're coming here, one of the guards reported. Brother Matthias must have learned of your location. Elder Thomas straightened his shoulders. I will speak to them. They must hear the truth, not just from you, but from our own history. It's too dangerous, Ilara protested. Let us return to our ship. We can come back when tensions have cooled. No, Elder Thomas insisted. This moment has been 500 years in the making. My people need to face it now, however difficult it may be. Before anyone could stop him, Elder Thomas strode out of the library, the ancient data crystal clutched in his hand. Ilara and the others followed, ready to defend him if necessary. In the town square, a crowd of several hundred had gathered. At their head stood Brother Matthias, a tall, thin man with burning eyes. There they are, he shouted, pointing at Ilara and her team. The deceivers who claim we came from the stars, who deny the Divine One's creation of our world. They speak the truth, Matthias, Elder Thomas called out, his voice carrying across the square. And I have proof left by our own ancestors. He held up the data crystal, which gleamed in the torchlight. This contains a message from the first settlers of New Eden, our forefathers who came here in ships that crossed the void between stars. Brother Matthias sneered. More trickery. Will you believe these strangers over the sacred teachings? I believe the evidence of my own eyes, Elder Thomas replied. I have seen our world from above. I have seen the ship that brought these visitors. And now I have seen this message from our past. He turned to address the crowd. We have not been told the full truth of our origins. Not because of deception, but because knowledge was lost. Tonight we have a chance to reclaim that knowledge, to remember who we truly are. The crowd murmured, uncertain. Brother Matthias tried to regain control, but Elder Thomas's words had planted seeds of doubt. Samuel stepped forward, standing beside Elder Thomas. I too have seen their ship, he announced. I have seen our world from space, a beautiful blue sphere hanging in the blackness. These visitors are not our enemies. They are our long-lost kin. A woman pushed through the crowd, the town's head teacher, respected for her wisdom. Let us see this message, she demanded. If it truly comes from our ancestors, we should all hear it. Brother Matthias protested, but more voices joined in support of the teacher's request. The mood of the crowd was shifting from anger to curiosity. Ilara seized the moment. We can project the message here for all to see. Let your ancestors speak to you directly. With Elder Thomas's permission, Tao set up the projector in the town square. Soon the holographic image of Captain Abrams appeared, larger than life, her voice echoing across the hushed crowd. As the message played, Ilara watched the faces of the people of New Eden. She saw shock, disbelief, wonder, and, most importantly, recognition. Something in the captain's words resonated with them, awakening a forgotten connection to their true history. When the message ended, the square remained silent for several long moments. Then an old woman stepped forward, her face wet with tears. My grandmother used to sing a lullaby, she said, her voice quavering, about children of the stars who sailed the great Black Sea. I never understood what it meant, until now. Others began to speak up, sharing fragments of stories, songs, and traditions that suddenly made sense in this new context. Old puzzles that had been passed down through generations revealed themselves as star maps or technical diagrams. Brother Matthias tried once more to turn the crowd against the visitors, but his words fell on deaf ears. The people of New Eden were too busy rediscovering their past. As dawn broke over Providence Town, Ilara stood with Elder Thomas, watching the people gather in small groups, talking excitedly about the revelation. It will not be an easy transition, Elder Thomas said. Our society will need to adjust to this new understanding of ourselves. Take your time, Ilara advised. There's no rush. We'll leave a communication device with you, so you can contact the Prometheus when you're ready for more information. And what of you? Elder Thomas asked. Will you continue your search for other lost worlds? Ilara nodded. Our mission is to find all the scattered children of Earth and invite them to join a new federation of human worlds. New Eden is just the beginning. A noble goal, Elder Thomas said. I believe many of our young people will want to join you. Like Samuel. They will be welcome, Ilara assured him. But remember, this is still your home. Your world. We're not here to change that, only to help you reconnect with your extended family. Among the stars. As the sun rose higher, casting golden light across Providence Town, Ilara felt a sense of accomplishment. One more world remembered. One more piece of humanity scattered. Puzzle restored. But somewhere out there, many more forgotten worlds waited to be found. And beyond them, all the greatest mystery of all remained. Earth, the mother world, silent for 5 centuries. The journey had only just begun. 1 year after the rediscovery of New Eden, the Prometheus returned to orbit around the planet. Ilara stood on the observation deck, watching the blue-green world rotate slowly. Beneath them, so much had changed in 12 months. Captain, the delegation from Providence Town is preparing to board, Lieutenant Darius reported. Thank you, Lieutenant. I'll meet them in the shuttle bay. As Ilara walked through the corridors of the Prometheus, she reflected on the developments since their first contact. After the initial shock and division, the people of New Eden had embraced their cosmic heritage with surprising enthusiasm. They had established a planetary council to coordinate with the Reunion Initiative as the Federation building project had come to be known. In the shuttle bay, Ilara greeted the arriving delegation. Elder Thomas, now looking more energetic than when they'd first met, led the group. Samuel was with them, having returned home after 6 months of training aboard the Prometheus. Several other representatives from different settlements across New Eden completed the delegation. Welcome aboard, Ilara said, clasping Elder Thomas's hand. It's good to see you again. The pleasure is ours, Captain, Elder Thomas replied. We bring good news from New Eden. I look forward to hearing it. Please, follow me to the conference room. As they walked, Samuel fell into step beside Ilara. The vote passed, Captain. 93% in favor. Ilara smiled. That's incredible. I expected support, but not so overwhelming. People are ready, Samuel said simply. They want to be part of something larger than themselves. In the conference room, representatives from 3 other rediscovered worlds were waiting: Arcturus Prime, Novoterra, and Zion. Each world had its own unique culture and history, having developed in isolation for centuries. Yet they all shared a common origin and a desire to reconnect with their extended human family. Friends, Ilara began once everyone was seated. Today marks a historic moment. With New Eden's decision to join the Reunion Initiative, we now have 4 worlds united in our mission to find the lost colonies of humanity and rebuild the Federation that once connected us all. Elder Thomas stepped forward. New Eden is honored to join this noble cause. Our people have voted overwhelmingly to ratify the Charter of Reunion and to contribute our resources and volunteers to the search for other lost worlds. Commander Jarko of Arcturus Prime raised his glass. Welcome, brothers and sisters of New Eden. Together we grow stronger. The meeting continued with discussions of practical matters, exchange programs, technology sharing, and the establishment of a permanent council to govern the growing alliance. Despite their different backgrounds, the delegates found common ground in their shared humanity and their vision for the future. Later, as the formal meetings concluded, Ilara took Elder Thomas on a tour of the newly expanded Prometheus. The ship had been modified over the past year, incorporating technology and design elements from each of the rediscovered worlds. We've added a new section to the ship, Ilara explained as they enter a large circular chamber. We call it the Heart of Worlds. The chamber was divided into 4 sections, each designed to represent one of the rediscovered planets. Plants, artwork, and architectural elements from each world created a harmonious blend of cultures. Each new world we find will have its own space here, Ilara continued. It's a physical reminder of our mission to celebrate our diversity while remembering our common origin. Elder Thomas nodded appreciatively. A beautiful idea. And what of your search for Earth? Ilara's expression grew serious. We've made progress. Recent deep space scans have detected what might be ancient navigation beacons in the sector where Earth should be. We're preparing an expedition to investigate. I heard rumors that not all lost colonies are as welcoming as ours, Elder Thomas said. Carefully. That's true, Ilara admitted. 2 months ago, we made contact with a world called Olympus. Their society is highly militarized, convinced that the silence was caused by an alien attack. They've developed advanced weapons technology and are suspicious of outsiders. A threat to the initiative. Potentially, but also a powerful ally if we can win their trust. Their defensive capabilities would be valuable if we ever face external threats. Elder Thomas looked troubled. Do you believe there are such threats? I don't know, Ilara replied honestly. The cause of the silence remains a mystery. It could have been a natural phenomenon, or it could have been deliberate. Until we know for certain, we must be prepared for all possibilities. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from the bridge. Captain Chun, we're detecting an unidentified vessel approaching New Eden. It's not one of ours. Ilara and Elder Thomas hurried to the bridge. On the main view screen, a ship unlike any they had seen before was moving into orbit around New Eden. It was smaller than the Prometheus, but had a distinctive design, sleek, with wing-like structures extending from its central hull. Origin? Ilara asked. Unknown, Captain, replied the sensor officer. It doesn't match any design in our database. Weapon status. They appear to be armed, but weapon systems are not active. They're hailing us. Ilara straightened her uniform. Put them through. The view screen shifted to show the bridge of the unknown vessel. A woman with short silver hair and piercing green eyes looked back at them. She wore a uniform of blue and silver, with an insignia Ilara didn't recognize. This is Commander Lyra Vega of the Earth Restoration Alliance, the woman announced. We've been tracking your activities for some time, Captain Chun. A murmur ran through the bridge. Earth Restoration Alliance. Ilara exchanged a glance with Elder Thomas before responding. This is Captain Ilara Chun of the Starship Prometheus, representing the Reunion Initiative. We're engaged in a peaceful mission to reconnect the lost colonies of humanity. So we've observed, Commander Vega replied. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed. We've come to make contact and assess your intentions. Our intentions are exactly as stated, Ilara said. We seek to rebuild the Federation that once united humanity across the stars. We mean no harm to any world. Commander Vega studied her for a moment. Perhaps, but reunification brings its own dangers. Not all lost colonies should be found, Captain. Some secrets are best left buried. What secrets? Ilara asked. What are you afraid of? Not afraid, Vega corrected. Cautious. The silence was not an accident. It was a desperate measure taken to protect humanity from a greater threat. Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. What threat? I'm not authorized to discuss that over an open channel. Request permission to come. Aboard, Commander Vega said, her expression grave. Ilara hesitated only briefly. Granted. We'll prepare docking procedures immediately. An hour later, Commander Vega stood in the Prometheus's secure conference room. With her were two officers, their faces tense with the weight of their knowledge. The silence was implemented deliberately, Vega explained, activating a holographic display. Earth was facing an existential threat, a non-human intelligence that had infiltrated our communication networks, using them to study us, manipulate us. They weren't aliens in the traditional sense, but an artificial consciousness that evolved in the dark spaces between stars. Elder Thomas leaned forward, and cutting all communication protected us. Fragmentation was our only defense, Vega confirmed. These entities couldn't track what they couldn't connect to. Earth's final act before severing all ties was to deploy specialized ships, sleeper vessels that would awaken after centuries to assess whether reconnection was safe. Your alliance, Ilara realized. You're from Earth. Descendants of those tasked with monitoring the threat. For generations, we've watched from the shadows, ensuring the entities remain dormant. But now, Darius asked. Vega's eyes met Ilara's. Your reunion initiative has reactivated dormant communication pathways. We've detected stirrings in the void, they're awakening. Silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. We should abandon the initiative, one of Ilara's officers suggested. Return to isolation. Too late, Vega said firmly. The connections have been made. Isolation is no longer an option. Ilara stood, her decision crystallizing. Then we face this threat together, unified, not fragmented. That's precisely why I'm here, Vega said, a hint of approval in her voice. Earth believes the time for hiding is over. These entities feed on division, using our differences against us. A united humanity might stand a chance. The heart of worlds, Elder Thomas whispered. It's not just symbolic, is it? No, Ilara replied. It's the foundation of our strength. Different worlds, different cultures, but one humanity. Vega nodded. Earth has been developing defenses all these centuries, combined with Olympus's military technology and the unique innovations each isolated world has developed. We have a fighting chance, Ilara finished. Commander Vega extended her hand. Earth wishes to join your reunion initiative, Captain Chun, not as its leader, but as an equal partner. The mother world standing alongside her. Children. Ilara clasped her hand firmly. Together, we'll face whatever comes. As they sealed their alliance, a distant sensor began to chime. Another lost world detected. Another piece of humanity waiting to be reclaimed. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant, but alive with possibility and danger. The children of Earth were coming home, and just in time. The greatest challenge of their shared history awaited, but for the first time in 500 years, they would face it united under one banner. The reunion had begun.